Hello, everybody, and welcome back to It All Starts With a Wish podcast. My name is Rachel.
And I'm Mark.
It's cold.
It is cold. But it's that time of year.
I want to be in Florida.
Apparently it's cold in Florida, too, though. It was 40 degrees in Florida the other day.
That's pretty chilly.
That's chilly for them. Not for us, but it's chilly for them.
Not for us at all.
No.
It's like 18.
Okay, well, listen. It's winter. What do you want?
I know, I'm excited for our Disney trip.
First and foremost, we're complaining about the weather, but our thoughts and prayers certainly going out to everybody in Southern California, the LA area, that are suffering from these horrific fires that are hitting that area. So if there are any listeners from that area, know that we are praying and thinking of you in this time. And yeah, pretty tragic and horrific. So no threat to Disneyland yet, but...
Where's the cutoff point? Like, how far north is it traveling?
I'm not sure. I think it's kind of like circling around now. Like, it's like circling back to areas that have already been hit. So, yeah, just not a good situation at all.
No.
So, our thoughts and prayers to all who have been affected by those horrific wildfires. And
hopefully it ends soon.
Hopefully.
And we can rebuild.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Well, that was a gloomy start.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know.
I know, but it needs to be said. I get it.
Do we want to lighten things up with a dad joke? This one's from a listener.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
So don't get mad at me if this one's not good, because this came from a listener.
Okay.
Dad. As in the dad says this.
Yep.
What is the difference between a piano, a tuna, and a pot of glue? Son, I don't know. Dad, you can tune a piano, but you can't piano a tuna. Son, but what about the pot of glue? Dad, I knew you'd get stuck on that.
Oh my.
That was a two-parter. That was a two-parter.
That was a two-parter.
Thank you to the listener who provided that great dad joke. Rachel wasn't impressed, but
I
was impressed.
On that. That's because what I thought. I was like, okay, that's fine, but what about the glue?
But the tuna piano was funny.
I know, but then in my head I was also like, but what? I don't understand. What about the glue?
You got stuck on it. Okay, anyways. What are we talking about today?
Well, I think it's come up a few times, especially traveling with small children. If there's any areas or tips or tricks that we have for napping / quiet areas that you can kind of escape to without having to like necessarily go back to the resort in the middle of the day. If you need to just like sit while they nap, like in the stroller, or you need to like do that nice pacing and walk in circles in the stroller to like put them to sleep. Are there any areas to do that?
For sure.
Oh, yes.
There certainly are.
There are.
As busy as the Walt Disney World theme parks can get, there are definitely places where you can get away from the hecticness, even within the parks. Like, obviously, we always say, take a break in the middle of the day, and even if you don't go back to your resort, go resort hopping, right? Because the resorts tend to be quieter during the days when everybody's at the parks. But with that being said, you may not want to resort hop, you may not want to leave the park, and if you are in that situation... I
feel like if you have, like, a span of ages, you know, that you're with, that, like, one still needs to nap, but the other one's not, it's kind of like, you know...
Yeah, maybe
you can all go ride a ride while they nap or something, you know?
You may have a 2-year-old, but you also may have an 8, 10-year-old, like, older kids who don't need to nap. So how do you make sure that the 2-year-old gets what it needs and gets that napping in the middle of the day, but the rest of the family can still have fun in the parks?
Yeah, and you don't feel like you're going back and isolated, you know, away from the rest of them.
Sure, yeah, you can keep your family together in that way,
You want to go, like, park by park?
We can, sure.
Okay.
So, the purpose of this episode is to identify those places in the parks which are quiet, where you can take a young one who may need to nap or may need just a moment away from the hecticness. All of us, I think, can get overwhelmed in Walt Disney World.
That's true.
There's a lot of people.
This is even like if you're not parents and need people, just like a quiet spot to gather yourself.
Right. There's a lot of people.
Take a breath.
There's a lot of noise.
Yeah.
There's a lot of constant, like, in your face.
It's a lot of stimulation.
Yes. That's the word I was looking for, stimulation.
Yeah.
You are constantly stimulated. And if you need to get away from that stimulation and just take a moment for yourself, whether you are 2 or 92, these are the places you can go to get away from all the excitement.
It reminded me of that Christmas song.
That's what I was going for.
From kids from 1 to 92. Okay.
Yeah, I probably should have said 1 to 92.
Anyways,
whatever.
It's whatever.
You know, I never understood that about that song. Why did they cut it off at 92? What about the 93-year-old? What, the 93-year-old all of a sudden can't be a kid? Like, you can be a kid all the way up until 92. But all of a sudden at 93
You're not
or
expected
94,
to live that long.
like, hey, listen, nope, the kid stuff is done. You can be 92 years old and on the verge of death, but hey, you're 102
Stop
and you're still
acting
kicking.
like a
Like, you can't be a kid at 102.
No.
Sorry. Just up to
can't.
92.
Just 92.
Anyways.
That's the age cutoff.
Any age that you are, if you need to get away from the hecticness of Walt Disney World, these are the places where you can go. In the parks, specifically, I have some favorites in the resorts.
Yeah.
For example, on this last trip, one of my favorite afternoons, and I mean this with all due respect because you weren't there.
Wow.
But one of the great experiences I had was I took our son, we were at the hotel we were at.
Oh, is this at Animal Kingdom?
It was. It's an Animal Kingdom Lodge. I took our son for a little walk.
I was thinking about when was he alone? When was I not there?
My dear wife, my beloved wife, Rachel, took a nap. And I was like, honey, don't you worry about this. I got this. And I put him in a stroller. And we walked the halls of Animal Kingdom Lodge, Jumbo House. And we had a lovely time. Our son fell asleep. And I was faced with a choice. I could go back to the room and sit there and I think
watch us both sleep.
My parents were sleeping too and they were in the room and like everybody was kind of quiet and taking a nap. I could go back and just, sit on my porch and maybe. But maybe he would wake up.
You're just not a napper.
So I walked myself down to the pool bar. And I pulled up at the pool bar. Whoosh, put that little lock on that stroller. I hopped myself onto a stool, and I got myself 2 Mai Tais. I sat at the bar by myself. It was nice, peaceful, and quiet by the pool. Had myself 2 Mai Tais. Our son slept like an angel, and I had a great time.
I do have to say that out of all the resorts, I feel like Animal Kingdom is the most peaceful. It has the most pockets of, like, viewing areas and, like, quiet areas. Like, I feel like maybe midday it can be, like, busy, but I feel like it's all around pretty quiet.
Yeah, because I think the animals,
But I know, I know you're not going to be, like, rowdy, but, like,
yeah.
It's very, like, it's made for that. It's not meant for, like, hustle and bustle. Anyways.
It is pretty far away from the hustle and bustle of everything else.
Anyways, what park do you want to start at?
Before we actually start at a park.
Oh my gosh, you always do this to me. I'm always ready to start, and you're like, actually, one more thing.
I want to point out that there's something at every single park that is the perfect place if you are a young family to go, if you need quiet time, especially if you are a breastfeeding mother,
yes.
or you just need to, like, take the kids away from the mayhem and everything in the park. There are family areas in each one of the parks.
Yeah.
They are usually attached or very close to the first aid.
Baby care centers.
They're usually very close to the first aid stations in each one of the parks. So if you find those, it's usually attached or immediately adjacent to that. And these baby care stations are a great place to take a kid, especially a young, maybe an infant, if you're traveling with an infant or a toddler, to take them and to have a nice quiet space for a nap.
And honestly, there's a lot that these care centers have. They have diapers. They have snacks. They have wipes. They have, and when I say, like, snacks, I mean, like, baby food.
Yeah.
They have formula. They have, like, literally anything that you could possibly run out of at a park that it's immediate need. I need it. You can get it.
Right.
And it's free.
Right. You shouldn't bank on that,
No,
of
don't
course.
bank on that,
You should
please.
be good parents
No,
and
you
pack
should
your own
pack your
diapers
stuff,
and all that
because-
stuff. But know that if, like, something happens where, like, you didn't check the park bag in the morning and you had used
From
up
the
all
day
the
before.
diapers, or you're on your last diaper or something like that, or you run out of wipes or whatever, that these centers do have that stuff for you if you need them. So don't feel like you are out in the world abandoned if you forget something for your young one, or if you run out of formula or something like that.
Yeah.
You have these places where you can go to get those things.
Yeah.
So Disney
They've
wants
thought
your
of
family to be
everything.
safe.
Yes.
They want your family to be happy. They know these things happen.
Yep.
You shouldn't rely on it, but you do have those family care
As good
centers.
of parents
So
we
use them.
think we, strive to be, we're human. And you forget.
You do.
But yes, it is going to be, especially if it's hot, it's going to be a nice, cool area. Chairs, couches, for you to go, especially if you are nursing, like I was. I wasn't as...
I can't
during-
speak from experience on this one, but if you
Well-
are a nursing mother,
Well, if I wasn't nursing during the day when we went, so it was a little easier. We were kind of already in the weaning process. But if you need a clean, not bathroom, kind of place to be where you're not like out in the open,
Yeah.
that is a great place to do that. But there are other places.
like,
where
please
it's
do
a
not
little
take your
more-
child into a restroom and breastfeed
No,
them
goodness,
there.
no.
There is such...
We have other much nicer places
There's much
for you.
nicer places to go. Don't
Don't
feel like you
do
need
that.
to do that. Don't feel like
Please
you
don't
need to
do
do that
that.
in Walt Disney World. Go to a baby care center. Do it where you feel comfortable and where you
Yeah.
feel safe to do it.
Yes.
And wherever you're comfortable, do it. That's where you do it. Don't feel like you need to go into a stall in a bathroom to do it.
No.
'Cause there's much better places. Please do it in public before you do that.
Yeah.
Right? Don't- But anyways, I wanted to make that point that there are
Yeah,
these
that they
baby
do
care
have,
centers that are set up for this intent and purpose, and all 4 theme parks have those locations.
They do.
Magic Kingdom. Why don't we start in Magic Kingdom?
Okay. Magic Kingdom was harder for me to think of some.
I think partially because one of the best places is in the least expected place.
Tom
Let
Sawyer
me
Island?
explain what I mean. No.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, if you want to bring people across
No,
the
that's
boat
what I
and-
mean. It's kind of inconvenient, but it's a really good spot.
One of my best places is on the, like, AstroTurf in front of the castle.
Oh, yeah.
You would not think that that little, like, park area in front of the castle at the end of Main Street, right on the hub, there's,
It's like
like
literally right in the middle of the chaos.
these green AstroTurf areas that are kind of fenced off. They use them for specialty viewing areas, for the fireworks packages and stuff like that, so people can go and watch the fireworks from there. You would not think that literally in the epicenter of one of the most busiest theme parks in the world would be one of the quietest spots. But there is something about those grassy areas. Once you get off of Main Street and you get onto one of those little grassy areas,
the noise level does like come down a bit.
the noise level comes down. You hear that kind of like relaxing hub music that they play.
And not a lot of people go there, one, because they're like already in the hustle and bustle, but like if someone's already on the green, you don't go on it. I don't know, it's just kind of like an unspoken rule. I don't know, it's just like if there's more than like 2 families on there, it's like you just don't crowd it. You know?
Yeah, you don't go on it. Like, you kind of avoid... You leave it open.
Yeah, it's just if there's already 2 families max. Because like you're not just gonna like sit next to you know what I mean? It's just like it's definitely meant for space.
But it's a great place, like, if you get coffee or something from Joffrey's or whatever, or you get, maybe you go to Casey's Corner and get some, like, corn dog nuggies or something like that. And you just take the family and you go and chill on the grass. The kids can run around, maybe play tag on the grass. You're in a confined area, so you're not worried about, like, the kids, like, escaping and, like, running, like...
They're escaping.
Rampant across the parks, right? And if you have a younger one that needs to take a nap, right, I think it's a good balance. It's in a central location where you could take older kids and go on a ride, and you know where to find them. But it's also peaceful and kind of chill in that area for the most part. With the exception of, you know, maybe you have a parade or something like that come by. But at certain times of the day when there's no parades or cavalcades or anything going on, it's a nice spot to just take a break. And I think it's so counterintuitive to the idea of it's literally at the epicenter of the, as I said, the most busiest park in the world. And yet, I think you can find some peace and solitude there in that kind of area, that relaxation area.
Yeah, I feel like the first place I thought of that I had been that I was like, wow, I could actually kind of like stay here and for a while is Tom Sawyer's Island. Yeah. Even though it's not going to be here, it's hard to get over there. But once you do, there's a lot of nice sitting areas just to kind of relax.
You do have to take the raft boats over, so it's not the easiest place to get to. And to Rachel's point, Tom Sawyer's Island will soon be going the way of the dodo and will be replaced by a Cars-themed area in Frontierland in Disney's Walt.
A place where I think
in Magic Kingdom.
Seen
I don't know why I said Disney's Walt Disney World. I was going to say like Disney's Walt Disney World Resort, Magic Kingdom.
You just said Disney Walt Disney World so many times.
I know. I don't know. I kind of had like a mini like stroke or like I was rebooting or something. I don't know what was going on there. The point is, it will not be in Magic Kingdom for much longer.
No, it won't.
So,
anyways, that's an inconvenient one. But you can go there. It's still, do it while it's there, you know. Go over and see Tom Sawyer's Island.
Probably not for much longer.
No, so do it fast. Another one that I can think of that I've seen a lot of people sitting at, not the best as far as like prettiest, I guess. But there used to be a quick service. If you are...
Tomorrowland Terrace. Is that where you're going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There used to be a quick service. Jeez, you just jumped right in there.
Immediately off of the right-hand side of the hub as you go into Tomorrowland.
Can you describe the part that I'm thinking of? You're interrupting.
Sorry.
If you go to the right off of the hub and you walk past, what is that? That is not Tony's Town Square. The other one. Plaza.
The Plaza.
The Plaza.
Yes.
Sorry, I had a brain fart.
I did
You're going to walk by there. You're going to walk past the bathrooms. You're going to go up a little ramp. It's just a bunch of tables and chairs. I don't even think there's tables and chairs there anymore, to be honest.
There is.
Oh, there are still.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Because they use that still for the resort.
For the dessert party?
The dessert party.
Yeah. So there's some there's some tables and chairs up there. It's under shade.
At the busiest times of year, it is open, but it's very rare. Most times of the year, that quick service is not open. I haven't seen it
open in a long time.
I will say the advantage to that area, A, to Rachel's point, it's under shade. B, there are tables and chairs.
Tables and chairs is a big one.
So you can actually
like not just sitting down, like you have a table.
Right.
Which is nice.
And decent views of the castle.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, it's not the prettiest because it's like a quick service stand area, but where you're looking, the view that you get is pretty great. Mm-hmm. So, and you have the purple wall right there if you want to go take some other pictures. But yeah, that was my other spot. Do you have any other spots?
So I always liked the area that is kind of in the back of Fantasyland. Not quite, sort of like near Gaston's Tavern, but also kind of like in between where Gaston's Tavern is in New Fantasyland and the circus. What the heck do they call that?
Storybook Circus.
Storybook Circus. Thank you. There's kind of an area in that back corner of the park, kind of adjacent to where the railroad tracks, where the Magic Kingdom Railroad runs through there. There's some benches back there, and it's relatively peaceful. You're not too far away from the bathrooms at Gaston's Tavern area there. It's just kind of quiet back there in that back corner. And I think that is a good place to kind of get away from the crowds.
Area, honestly, of Storybook Circus is just not utilized very well.
Yeah.
But any, like, not
most
even
people
for
don't
breaks.
walk into it.
It's just like walk into it. I think there's a lot of cool stuff to see back, and that's me included.
And there's the water features and stuff like that.
Walk by
for
it
kids
all the
to
time.
play around in.
And I think it's actually a really cool place to like take a break and just walk around, play in the water features, get a snack, and you're not actually having to like ride anything, but you're still being entertained. The kids are still entertained. Yeah.
Dare I say?
Oh no.
Oh,
Ooh.
I got two of them that I'm gonna say, and
Really?
people may not love this, but the
Kapui?
Hall of Presidents
Oh.
and the Country Bear Jamboree.
Uh,
If you're looking for a place for the kids to have to sit down and cool down and relax for a little while, okay, it's not quiet because you're watching a show.
I was gonna say it's not. You're not alone either. I mean, you can be alone in the Hall of Presidents. If you sit in like a back corner and pick your seat, you can be very alone.
But a lot of people can take a nap in there.
I
I love it. I don't think that you should. Stop it.
I'm just saying
Heresy.
I could.
Don't talk about the Hall of Presidents that way. Or the Country Bear Jamboree.
I think it's also probably a good place to nurse too.
Yeah, during the show, yeah, potentially.
Anyways, mean, you're in the dark. And
I'm not saying it's the best
from
option, but it is air conditioned and it is it's a pretty long show. So it is a good place for people to have to slow down and relax for a little while. That's all. An infant probably would sleep through both of those.
Especially if you're going through the peak, heat times. Mm-hmm. If they're already sleeping, bringing them in there and kind of holding them in the chair, and you can have a nice, cool nap break. Mm-hmm. All right, where are we headed next?
Epcot. We'll go in order of origination.
Sounds good. Epcot.
I think one of the biggest things in Epcot is people don't always walk through, in World Showcase especially, all of the country pavilions.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
When you walk back into some of those pavilions and you get out of that main kind of route of traffic around the lagoon, World Showcase Lagoon,
it gets pretty quiet.
You can find some very quiet spots. I'm looking at you, the UK. I'm looking at you, the Canada Pavilion.
I was going to say Canada.
I'm looking at you, the Morocco Pavilion.
Oh, the Morocco Pavilion.
I'm looking at you, the Italy Pavilion. I'm looking at you, the Japan Pavilion. There are a few. Yeah. I would have said the France Pavilion, too, before Ratatouille. Now Ratatouille's kind of messed up that back corner. But there are quite a few of those pavilions that are much bigger than they seem. And the minute that you go beyond that main foot traffic area, it gets quiet.
I was very surprised of how big Morocco's pavilion is.
Yeah, if you never walk into it. It
does not seem like it because you think, oh, whatever I can see is where it is. No. You go all the way down. You turn a corner. There's like a whole other hall. It's like a whole other hallway.
A store and a whole bunch of stuff in the back.
I was like, wow. And there's these beautiful fountains with like the mosaics and like all of this stuff. And it's just it's really, really pretty back there. And it's quiet. Like, we said, the further you go in, and if you're walking kids around as they're sleeping and stuff, there's not a lot of people back there usually because not everyone goes back there because that's not where, people don't know to go all the way in. So if you kind of head back there, you can kind of do your little pace loop-de-loop thing and not have to feel like you're bumping into everybody.
Definitely.
Yeah. Canada I thought of too, that walk with the waterfall, just going up and down those ramps. UK has that nice garden in the back.
As long as the rock band is not playing in the gazebo in the back, that would kind of ruin that. Yeah, that would kind of ruin the piece of that. It is quiet in that back corner of the UK pavilion. Also, the Japan pavilion, too, when you get in the back, it's kind of interesting back there. There's a little store and there's kind of like a little museum thing in that back corner, like in the castle.
Yeah. You're saying like past that little bar on the left? There's like a little bar that's like tucked away.
And then you can go up to the quick service area and there's like the koi pond and all that stuff. But there's also that like castle area in the back there, too, where you can kind of get away from people and have some solitude and quiet. Even in the Italy Pavilion, although I think that one gets a little bit more foot traffic in it. When you start to get back towards that back corner where Via Napoli is and kind of near the fountain and all that kind of stuff. I was going to say, right near, who is that? Poseidon?
Might be, probably. Once you get over into that, where the stroller parking is, no one's really right there.
There can be some quiet areas. Yeah. Also in the back part of the China Pavilion too. Yeah. As well, there's some quiet sections in the back part of that too. I have a good one. Yeah.
As long as there's no characters, go down the little path next to Mexico. Don't go inside the building. Yeah. To the right, if you're looking at the building, to the right of the building is a path that goes down to where Donald and them meet. But if they're not meeting or anything, you don't see a line, you can kind of sneak back there, and it's really quiet.
That is quiet back there, too. That's a very good one as well.
There's usually no one back there because there's no characters.
Yeah, it's a good spot, too.
Yeah.
In certain parts, too, of the Seas Pavilion can be a nice place, especially if you have a family that has a spread of ages, right? You can entertain a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old looking at fish for extended periods of time, but also find the quiet corner of the aquarium area in there where you can plant a 2-year-old in a stroller and let them sleep, or a 1-year-old in a stroller and let them sleep.
Again, cool, dark.
It's air conditioned, it's dark.
Yeah, I feel like it's much darker than other places too. So if light is not on your side with a sleeping kid, that's a good place to go.
The land pavilion too.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate that as a place where you can take a young one and let them nap, but also let the older ones go and do Soarin', or go and do Living with the Land, or go and watch the movie up on the second floor. Like, there's a lot to do in that pavilion where you can take advantage of the air conditioning.
Yeah.
Kind of park the youngster
I would say
for their
that's
nap
more of
and let the other ones
they're
go.
already sleeping, and then you go in, like, that's like not a put to sleep, because it is much busier than like the other places we've talked about as far as like noises and stuff, so it's a little louder. But if they're pretty good at just falling asleep, I mean, like our son, he would just fall asleep in the stroller. We didn't really have to the movement put him to sleep. It wasn't really the noise. So if you have, someone like that, there are plenty of places to sit and eat, and that's another really good one.
Definitely. There's a lot of places in Epcot. Yeah. Just don't be afraid to get off of the beaten path, because everybody is going to tread certain major pathways in that park. But once you move off of those major pathways, there's a lot of quiet little nooks and corners where you can get away from the hustle and bustle of the park itself. Mm-hmm. Hollywood Studios would be next.
Hollywood.
Hooray for Hollywood.
Well, at the time of recording right now, I would say probably back in the Muppets
it's a good place. That will be going
That will be gone soon.
But as of right now, that area kind of back where Mama Melrose is, Pizza Rizzo, the Muppets show, 3D show, that area tends to be one of the slowest parts of Hollywood Studios, and a good quiet spot to head to.
I would say that, ABC Commissary is also a slower quick service, I think, where there's usually a lot of seating. So I feel like you're not really in the crowd as much, and I don't feel like it gets really loud in there, and it's inside with tables and stuff. So that would be, Hollywood Studios is hard for me because I could think of other places, but weather-wise just isn't the best as far as like if you're trying to like beat the heat necessarily. I would say somewhere near Woody's Lunchbox, if you could find a space.
So I would push it more towards the Pixar area, so right before you enter into Toy Story Land,
like
if you're
Nom Nom
coming from like
station.
the back where Num Num Cookies are and stuff like that. There is that area where you used to enter into Toy Story Mania. That area tends to be much quieter now.
Well, they just bang a right and they just...
most people just walk right into Toy Story Land and skip that little section of the park. Edna Mode tends to meet in one of those buildings over there, so it's more Incredibles kind of themed in that little area. But that can be a quiet, nice little
my gosh. Can we backtrack 1 second?
Yeah.
A great spot in Epcot.
Sure. We're going to confuse people, but...
I know, but go back a second. Rewind. If you were really, really hot... You're going to sit in the wind tunnel that is the connecting area from, I'm pretty sure it's the land to, where is it? Where is the
It's on the opposite side.
Oh, now. It's on the other one. Well, anyway.
It used to be on both sides, but now, since they've destroyed that other half of the building.
Is the other one still the same? With the wind tunnel?
More or less, yes.
I feel like it
in
is.
Between the connections.
Yeah, where the characters still meet and stuff. That tunnel. Nice and shady. Find a
You walk into Epcot, that building to the left is what she's talking about. It has the Connections Cafe. It's got the new store in it. That area. That little covered walkway in between those buildings. That heads you towards Mission Space and towards Guardians of the Galaxy and that stuff.
Yeah. Anyway,
but it's a cool spot.
Go back.
No, that's a good one. It's a good one for sure.
All right, Hollywood Studios.
Not super not busy, but a cool spot. And
yeah, if you need like some wind. But you don't want to be like inside and sit down.
Also in Hollywood Studios, another place that I think people may not immediately think of as a good spot to go to, but is that area behind the Chinese theater where the Star Wars area and like the Little Mermaid and Disney Junior is. Mm-hmm. That area there is a great space that tends to be relatively quiet, where you can kind of just chill out.
I was going to say also what used to be the launch pad.
The launch bay, yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of things will be changing in Hollywood Studios, so this will have to be like updated a little bit with all the new stuff coming. But another place where I don't think a lot of people would think of at all is behind the Tower of Terror, which is actually where you exit the building. It's like that long pathway up the right instead of going onto the ride itself. They have like a nice little opening before you go into the gift store, and it tends to be a little quiet. Might hear some screams. Not too bad, but I feel like there's not a lot of crowds because it's just people coming off of the ride. So if you just needed to park somewhere, but people were still riding those two rides, you'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
But Hollywood Studios is tougher. I feel with quietness.
Yeah,
and shade and like that.
It's in a state of flux too.
Yeah.
Things are going to be changing as the Monsters Inc. land is added, and things will be adapting. So
yeah, and they're supposed to be putting in more seating near Woody's Lunchbox too. I heard
covered seating.
Yeah, which will be nice.
Yes,
so people can actually sit over there. Yeah, definitely need it.
So, last but not least, Animal Kingdom.
This is the best shaded park.
A lot of vegetation.
You can find a lot of shade.
So I love the area around the Tree of Life.
Yeah.
I think that those trails immediately around the Tree of Life are underutilized and great quiet places where you can just go, see some animals, kind of just find a spot where nobody may walk by you for like a half hour.
Yeah.
Like you can literally get away.
Don't go back there. And I don't know why. I mean, it's definitely, I just think it's just maybe unknown that it goes that deep and there's so many different paths back there that they just kind of look at the animals like the otters out front and that kind of, they just walk right by it.
Yeah, I think it's
they
just
go
off
back
of
to
that
the
main
ride.
path.
Yeah.
Most people are going to stick on that main traffic flow. So if you just go
they just
slightly
follow the
off
other
of
people.
It, right.
Don't follow. Go on the other path. If there's a path and it's not blocked off, take it. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of cool views of the Tree of Life that you don't normally get to see either, which is pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. And the animals that are back there.
And the animals, yeah. People don't even know that they exist.
Yeah.
Another little spot that I can think of is after Everest, before the Finding Nemo Theater. If you go off to the left over there, there's like a little alcove of like a built-in bench type thing. It's like a semicircle almost, and it goes pretty deep, but you're in the trees and you can sit. Mark and I actually found that one time when our flight was canceled.
We did.
Not knowingly, we were just trying to call, the airport and, try to figure out all of this stuff, and we just happened to be walking in that direction, and we took a path. We went to the left, and then we were like, oh wow, there's this like whole little space back here, and then no one was back there for a solid.
It's where the bathrooms are for the Finding Nemo show.
There you go. There it is.
So that's exactly like where it is
look for the bathrooms. Yeah, but it was like no one was really over there except, if there was a show going on, I'm sure there would be more people, but the time that we were walking by, there was no one. So that was nice.
This one is not so much good for like a seated area, but very quiet, and one of my favorite paths in all of Animal Kingdom, connecting Pandora to Africa.
Yeah.
There is a boardwalk area that runs between Pandora and Africa and kind of cuts out that path of having to go back out to the Tree of Life. The path that you have to go down without having to go back to the Tree of Life.
Yeah.
That's a very quiet area. Not much seating in that area.
Yeah.
But it is a good spot if you need to like walk a kid to sleep or something like that.
That's pretty.
Not many people walk down that way, and it is pretty.
Yeah. Get the best of both worlds there.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite spots in the park.
Yeah. Do you have any more?
I do. I have one more.
Okay.
Yeah, Rafiki's Planet Watch.
Oh.
So, if you hop on the train and you head out to Rafiki's Planet Watch, not many people do that.
That's true.
So it's a pretty quiet area. And there's some cool things to see and do back there for older kids if a younger kid needs to sleep. There's the petting zoo. You can watch veterinarians live and in person sometimes doing things.
There's the drawing
in the areas. They do
animation thing.
Have the animation thing where you can learn how to draw. So there are things back there that can keep older kids occupied,
right? There's a playground
while letting the younger one take a nap.
Yeah, and it's a cool train ride.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Rafiki's I think is another good spot.
That's a good one. I can't really think of any more. The Tree of Life is just such a big one because there's just so many little areas that you literally have your pick. The only other one I can really think of is right in the middle. If you go on either side, doesn't matter what side you take when you first enter the park, right or left. If you take a path into the middle, there's like some caves and other like paths right in there that you think it's just like all trees and you can't go in there, but you actually can go in there. And there's even like a little spot in like a cave where you're kind of under and shaded and stuff too. I've been there in the rain. Yeah, I've been in there with the rain. After Dinosaur too, at the exit of Dinosaur. Again, we'll be closing. Don't know when that's happening, but
Rachel likes to picks the spots that are not going to be.
These are like all my go-to places. What am I going to do without them? Oh well. They'll have to find new spots, I guess. They didn't take that into consideration when they started changing all of these things and closing things. So.
There may be a reason why they're closing them. If they're so quiet, there may be a reason why they're changing it. There may be a correlation.
All right.
Here.
Well,
that's all I'm saying. Well, I think that those are good spots in Animal Kingdom, though, for sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot, like I said, just in like the Tree of Life area that
there are tons
any
of places.
other.
I think Animal Kingdom is one of the parks that it's the easiest to find the quiet spot. Yeah. Like, there's a lot. It's a huge park.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of places where you can go to get away from the hustle and bustle of the main park areas. So, hopefully you found this episode helpful if you are a family traveling, especially with younger kids or older kids who just need to get away from the hustle and bustle and take some time in a quieter spot to kind of, recollect, or take a nap or just kind of rejuvenate yourselves and just take that moment to be a kid away from other people where you don't feel like you're interrupting other people's experiences or making too much noise or whatever. Hopefully you can go to these places and find some peace and some quiet. This is not an end-all be-all. I'm sure that you have other spots in the park that people who are listening to this are like, oh, but what about this spot? Definitely let us know on our social medias if there are other places that you like to visit that you think are nice, quiet spots in the park for people. But those are some of our favorite spots in the park. Next week, we will be embarking on a new, what we're going to call a mini-series.
Yeah.
We had a enlightening conversation with someone the other day in which they asked the question, is Animal Kingdom just the zoo?
Yeah. Is it just like a big zoo?
And it's not. And so that made us realize, from the perspective of Rachel as a Disney travel agent, right? Episodes on what the parks actually are and what there is to do in each one of the parks may be very helpful. So if you're a Disney, fanatic like us, the next series of episodes may not be horribly interesting to you, but I think that you'll still find some value in them. But we're going to go park by park, and we're going to break each park down. What is the overall, theming of it? What is the purpose of the park? What is some of the history of the park? When was it created? Why was it created? And what are the attractions? What's the dining establishments? What are the shows and other things that you can see and do in each one of the
population
4
target, like
Disney
age target,
parks?
and like all of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
So we will start with the first. We'll go in chronological order. We will start with Magic Kingdom. We're going to see how these first few episodes go. We may do all in one episode, just Magic Kingdom. I think that that's going to be too much, though.
Yeah.
So I think that we may break it down based upon attractions, food and restaurant locations, and then shows and other attractions within the parks.
Yeah.
So rides, food and restaurants, and shows and other attractions. So we'll do each one of the parks at Walt Disney World in this series. We'll see how people are liking that. If you're into it, we can keep doing more for the other parks across the world too as well. But just kind of giving you this is the 101 of each one of the 4 theme parks in Walt Disney World.
I think being, as into Disney as we are and having as the most knowledge, and we go frequently, that we forget that there are people out there who do not know anything.
May have never been
about Disney. So even the simplest question that makes us go, huh? Why would you even think that? Or like, you don't know that? It's like that. Yeah, actually people don't know that. So it's enlightening for me too, as a travel agent, getting some of these questions and going back to the basics of things, because I'm usually in such the advanced realm, and going back to just, what are they? Why would you want to go there? And what do you do when you're there?
Right.
That's it.
Back to the basics. I like that. That's what we're going to call this mini-series. I'm going to write that down. Back to the
oh my goodness,
basics. So
there it is.
Be on the lookout for that in the upcoming weeks here as we prepare for our own Walt Disney World trip here in a few weeks. And of course, there'll be a lot more episodes on that as we start to pick our
dining
in a few weeks here.
Lanes.
And our lightning lane selections and all that kind of stuff. So we will have more episodes on those too as well in the upcoming weeks. And of course, we'll be doing trip recaps and resort reviews, updated resort reviews based upon where we're staying this trip. We'll do an updated beach club resort review. We will do restaurant reviews too as well. And maybe we'll do something special while we're down there.
I think we should.
I have a few ideas. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there.
I think we should.
But anyways, we hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast. As always, if you have any questions or comments for us, you can reach out to us at startswithawish.podcast@gmail.com, or you can message us through our social media accounts. Be sure to follow us on those social media accounts. And if you are looking to book your next Disney trip, whether it's to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Lines, Aluani, any of the Disney portfolio locations all across the world, reach out to Rachel at rmello@mickeytravels.com. And remember, folks, it all starts with a wish. We'll see you real soon.
Bye.